Today, we're taking a journey into one of the most significant leaks in modern history, the Edward Snowden revelations and the sprawling, secretive world of the U.S. National Security Agency, or the NSA. Our guide for this exploration is the thought-provoking book No Place to Hide, Edward Snowden, the NSA and the U.S. Surveillance State, by Glenn Greenwald. This is a story that intertwines technology, privacy, and the very essence of democracy. So grab your headphones, settle in, and let's explore the revelations that shook the world. It all began in the fall of 2005 when a young lawyer and constitutional scholar named Glenn Greenwald decided to start a political blog. Little did he know that this decision would set him on a path to becoming one of the most influential journalists of our time. Greenwald was driven by a growing concern over the U.S. government's radical post-9/11 policies, particularly the notion that the threat of terrorism justified virtually unlimited executive power. Just 7 weeks into his blogging journey, the New York Times dropped a bombshell. The Bush administration had secretly authorized the NSA to eavesdrop on Americans' electronic communications without the legally required warrants. This warrantless surveillance had been ongoing for 4 years and had targeted thousands of citizens. For Greenwald, this was a perfect convergence of his passions and expertise. He spent the next 2 years covering every aspect of the scandal, culminating in a best-selling book that argued the president had committed crimes and should be held accountable. But the story didn't end there. In fact, it was just the beginning. Years later, Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, chose Greenwald as his first contact to reveal even more massive NSA wrongdoing. Snowden believed Greenwald would understand the dangers of mass surveillance and not back down in the face of government pressure. In May 2013, Greenwald received an encrypted email from someone calling himself Cincinnatus, a reference to the Roman farmer who, after defending Rome, relinquished power and returned to his farm. This mysterious figure urged Greenwald to use PGP encryption to protect their communications. Despite the vague promise of a huge story, Greenwald was initially skeptical. He had received many such offers before, and this one seemed no different. But Cincinnatus was persistent. Over the next few weeks, he sent Greenwald detailed instructions on using encryption software, even creating a video titled PGP for Journalists. Still, Greenwald hesitated, consumed by other stories and unconvinced of the source's credibility. It wasn't until he received a package containing 2 USB drives and detailed instructions for secure communication that he realized the gravity of the situation. The package was sent by Laura Poitras, a documentary filmmaker who'd been in contact with the source. When they met in New York, Poitras revealed that the source claimed to have access to top-secret documents detailing the U.S. government's surveillance of its citizens and the world. The source's first email to Poitras began with the words, "The security of people's communications is very important to me." Greenwald and Poitras soon found themselves on a plane to Hong Kong to meet the source. As they landed, Greenwald was still in the dark about the source's identity and motives, but the moment he met Snowden, he realized this was no ordinary whistleblower. Snowden was young, articulate, and had an air of calm determination. He had already made the decision to sacrifice his freedom to expose the NSA's surveillance apparatus. Over the next few days, Greenwald and Poitras met with Snowden daily, poring over thousands of top-secret documents. The revelations were staggering. They learned about the NSA's PRISM program, which allowed the agency to collect data directly from the servers of major internet companies like Google, Facebook, and Apple. They discovered the Boundless Informant program, which tracked the NSA's daily surveillance activities with mathematical precision. And they uncovered the agency's bulk collection of telephone metadata, including records of millions of Americans' phone calls. The documents also revealed the extent of the NSA's economic espionage, targeting companies and leaders of allied nations like Brazil and Mexico. The agency's mission, as stated in its own documents, was to collect it all, a chilling ambition that aimed to eliminate all electronic privacy worldwide. As the stories began to publish, the reaction was explosive. The first article, detailing the NSA's bulk collection of Verizon phone records, sent shockwaves through the media and political landscape. The White House defended the program as a critical tool in fighting terrorism, but the public outcry was immense. The New York Times denounced the administration's dragnet, and even former Vice President Al Gore called the surveillance obscenely outrageous. The PRISM story, published shortly after, further fueled the global debate. The revelation that major internet companies were cooperating with the NSA to provide access to their users' data shocked people around the world. The story sparked a wave of indignation and raised serious questions about the privacy of digital communications. Throughout this process, Snowden remained remarkably calm and resolute. He knew the risks he was taking and was prepared for the consequences. His only fear was that people would ignore the revelations or dismiss them as insignificant. But as the stories gained traction, it became clear that his fears were unfounded. The world was paying attention. The impact of the leaks was profound. They sparked a global debate about privacy, surveillance, and the balance between security and freedom. They led to legislative proposals to rein in the NSA's powers and prompted a re-evaluation of the relationship between technology companies and government agencies. And they inspired a new generation of whistleblowers and activists committed to fighting for transparency and accountability. In the years since the revelations, the debate over surveillance has continued to evolve. While some progress has been made, the fight for privacy and against unchecked state power is far from over. But thanks to Snowden's courage and the journalists who worked with him, the world is more aware of the dangers of mass surveillance and the importance of protecting individual privacy. As we reflect on this story, it's clear that the Snowden revelations were a watershed moment in the struggle for government transparency and accountability. They remind us of the power of whistleblowers to challenge abuses of power, and the critical role of journalism in holding those in power accountable. And they serve as a testament to the enduring human spirit and the belief that one person can make a difference. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And stay tuned for more stories that matter, right here on BrightLearn.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai. On the book No Place to Hide, Edward Snowden, the NSA, and the U.S. Surveillance State by Glenn Greenwald. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.